Hi, I'm Cammie, creator of the blog Tidbits and Tidbits Planners. I'm here today because I received a lot of questions on Instagram about planning specifically, so I thought I would hop on here and do a whole video just with a Q&A addressing all the questions I received. So let's settle in and just go through the list, and hopefully you come away with some great suggestions or ideas about how to manage your life and plan your days for success. I actually decided to do this video when I received a DM from one of my planning buddies. Her name's Rebecca from Eat.Pray.Plan. She's kind of a planning guru, and I'm sure you would enjoy her channel as well. I'll go ahead and link it below. But she mentioned to me after receiving my planner that it was the perfect planner for anyone who was a beginner planner. And that thought had really never crossed my mind in the production of my Tidbits Day Planner, mainly because I've been a planner my entire life. I never thought that anyone would actually be a beginner planner. So it was really eye-opening to me, and I loved her feedback that my planner that I designed is just so simple in format, whereas a lot of planner systems, maybe you've ran into them, they're just really complicated and can be overwhelming and often don't work for your life. So I was thrilled to have that kind of feedback, because that is truly kind of the goal of the planner and layout. I wanted it to work for everyone, and I wanted it to be really simple. If you don't know what I'm talking about and don't know that I create planners, I will leave a link below to Tidbits Planners. This is my second year selling this product. I'm so new to it and learning so much, but it's been really fun to kind of make my visions for the dream planner come to life. But anyway, so when she told me this, I decided to do a Q&A on Instagram and see if anyone else was a beginner planner and if they had questions about planning their days. And I got a lot of really great questions. I don't want this to be too long, so I'll just kind of go through a list of some that I feel hit on really relevant points. So if you'll forgive me, I just have my questions on my phone, so I'll be looking down to see those. But first of all, I actually do want to put a big disclaimer here before you hear me talk about planning like this and addressing questions. One, I always hesitate to share my schedule and the specifics of my life and how I do things, not because I don't think it'll be inspiring, but I've been the young mom who has felt like nothing in my life was controllable. And I've been in places in my life where I didn't have ideal habits or a framework in place because of the stage of life. So as I share this, I do not want anyone to feel bad or less than for their life. Please consider your stage of life. Know that things just ebb and flow and we adjust. My youngest is 6 years old, which means I finally get a good night's sleep and my days are a little more predictable, full of distractions, yes, but I just want to put a disclaimer there saying please do not judge my life compared to yours as I talk about my schedule and my routines. You do you. And hopefully there's a suggestion or an idea that sparks in you some way that you can help manage your life a little better if you're here for that. So anyway, just had to throw that out there, and I feel like I always do before I talk planning and share how I plan my life. The other thing is I get asked about planning because I'm very transparent that I'm a pretty busy woman. I am trying to grow 3 online businesses. My blog, my planner business, and I added just recently a Tidbits linen business on Etsy because I'm obsessed with all things linen and planning, so it just works. But I also homeschool 4 children. So I am pretty busy and my days are very full, but I'm also always very thrilled to share with people how they can structure their days, even if it's full, how to manage your responsibilities. I know I just named off my responsibilities, and I'm sure yours are so different. Or maybe even you don't feel like you have enough on your plate, so you want to make the most of your days and figure out how to fill them with valuable things. Either way, I hope the things that I'm sharing with you today are helpful and can give you some guidance as you plan, whether you're new to planning or a seasoned planner like myself. Anyway, let's dive into these questions. The first one, and I loved it, so I'm excited to address this one first. She asked, how do you stay motivated? There are days where I know it needs to be done, but I just can't get motivated enough to do it. That is a great question, and definitely one we all need to address in our own lives. There are certainly going to be those days, whether they're few and far between or frequent. That's definitely something to consider, but I will tell you how I stay motivated to get up and do the things that I've committed to do every day. And two of them kind of came to my mind as obvious things that keep me motivated. And one is deadlines. Believe it or not, my blog comes with deadlines. Trying to market planners during a seasonal time frame is time sensitive. So those things, deadlines and pressure, they do keep me motivated, and that's just the fact of the matter. So, and then also, and I'm sure you've heard this, but finding a deeper why you do everything. Everything that I do and wanting to start businesses and homeschooling my children, they all have to do with deeper whys and purposes, which help me kind of get through the times where I don't feel like doing something. I can think of that. Now, those are two great ways to stay motivated, but I'll be the first to admit on those days where you just aren't feeling it, you just can't get yourself moving. We all have those days and are certainly entitled to them. Deadlines and finding your why, they can be obscure or unreachable or intangible, and they might not be enough on those really hard days to keep you motivated. So there are some things that I know are motivation killers for me. I try to know that about myself, and so maybe if you're struggling to find motivation, really look deeper and figure out why you're feeling such a fog or such a lack of motivation. And honestly, for me, those motivating killers are things like not taking care of my health, my body not getting enough movement, nourishing food, enough sleep. I mean, those are like top of the line motivation killers for me that I have to be aware of. Also, too much social media time, that is definitely a motivation killer for me. And I'm sure for a lot of us, whether we realize it or not, it is full of comparison and brain stimulation that is not exactly helpful for, getting stuff done. So, There, in a practical sense, how I stay motivated, it has a huge deal to do with what I've put into my day. So I know if my day is too full, if the tasks feel insurmountable, my motivation is going to go out the window. I'm just going to feel overwhelmed and anxious. So that is why, let me show you here my planner. That is why I designed this, and I designed it for my brain, but I'm thrilled to hear that so many other people feel the same. But in my planner, you'll see there's this little colored time block or colored block here, and I kind of view it as my daily post-it note, and that's where I list my daily tasks. I always fill them out the night before so that I know right away when I wake up what I'm getting to. I fill up this, and if it's full, I know that I've overdone it. I won't be able to accomplish everything, and I'm just gonna be overwhelmed and not motivated. I feel like limiting yourself and your days to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success in the first place is the #1 motivator when you're looking at a day-by-day, real life, applicable kind of way to motivate yourself. It's funny because when I created this for the first time last year, I just thought through what would be my ideal planner. Of course, I had never used a system like this because there never was a planner like this. But I have been amazed at how well it worked, actually. After using it for an entire year, I found that I got really, really good at structuring my days and knowing when too much was too much, or when what was on there was not enough. So I'm just trusting the system this year and knowing that if this is full, my day's too full. It usually doesn't even matter how long a task will take me or not. I just have learned and trained myself to know my boundaries. So I hope that helps. Motivation is just a layered thing, and there's lots of layers to consider in order to find that daily motivation that you might need. All right, that was a long answer. Let's go. Question number 2. Do you have a daily view planner or a weekly? Okay, so I do have a weekly. Actually, I love to say that the Tidbits Day Planner is a yearly, monthly, weekly, daily, and hourly planner. But I had a planner like this years ago that laid out the weeks in a whole spread, so that when you're planning, you're looking at your week at a glance. It just really helps your brain. I've also had planners where every day is on its own page or its own spread. Those are usually, when you get those are really thick, or either you have to buy multiple planners to get through the year. But I really like the weekly view at a glance because it helps me see my entire week through the weekend so that I can get a really good idea of what I'm accomplishing. But there is, just to clarify, there is the monthly spread that helps you kind of calendar in things at a month at a glance as well. So yeah, I prefer weekly planners. I think that's technically what you would call it, but I prefer to call the Tidbits Day Planner an all-in-one. All right, so someone commented to me, my struggle is knowing what to put in each box. So she was asking specifically for the Tidbits Day Planner. I have left, excuse me, a lot of empty heading space. You'll see in this weekly view, I just have empty heading spaces right here that you can fill in to suit your life. On the monthly, and this might be what she was specifically referring to, I have a whole page at a monthly glance with just several empty headings. I'm guessing she's struggling knowing what to put in each one of these, and I'll talk about a few of the things that I put in, but I also often share on my Instagram account, and I've saved them in a highlight bubble, either planning or tips. I have highlight bubbles for all of those, but I often share what I'm putting in those. And for me, they vary week to week, month to month, based on the responsibilities that I will need to pay attention to that specific month or week. So in the January overview page, I use these headings, and I typically do this every month, but the top one is to pay, the middle one I put to contact, and the last one I put to schedule, because those are things that I like to think of in a monthly glance when I'm thinking of the whole month coming up. So I often put those same ones there. But on this monthly overview planning page, it varies every month, but I usually always have one for my husband, kind of a honey-do list, things that I need to remind him to do, because if I just tell him, that they won't happen. I often put one for home, just things I need to do around the home. I always have one for blog content and stuff that I want to create that month. Usually always have one for kids, the things that they need to do, whether for school, activities, or whatever. And then I always have one for the planner business. Right now, I used it as the biggest section because it's January, planner season, so that's definitely gonna take up most of my time. I have one for my linen business, and then this empty page I usually use to plan bigger projects. And then on the weekly glance, this really differs, but this week I have one for planners, for blog, and for home. You could fill it out any way you want. Those are just some ideas, but just keep following me along on Instagram as other people actually share videos of how they fill it out, and then I reshare it, and it just gives us lots of ideas for the planning community. So hopefully that gave you some ideas for that question specifically. Okay, another question I got was, do you carry your planner everywhere with you? I work from home, I homeschool from home, I'm home a lot, so the planner typically stays with me. However, if we travel or if I'm if we're just going on a drive to go shopping and I might need to plan, I definitely take my planner with me. I did find that as I did that last year, my planner would get a little dirty and scuffed up. So that's why this year I decided to provide a protective cover or a protective sleeve, whatever you want to call it, for all of my books and products, just so that if you are packing it, whether that's to work, to town, on trips, whatever, this will keep your planner looking nice all year long if you take good care of it. So it's just a book sleeve, comes apart like that, and yeah, that's the linen cover. This is probably gonna be the hardest one to keep clean because it's linen, but it is so beautiful. My other products are just this printed and laminated covering. So it's really wipeable. I've had them get kind of smudged and dirty and just get a damp rag and wipe it off. But again, this will just keep it so it doesn't get dented up. So I think that answered that question, plus some. All right, so next question, tips for using your day planner. I have a lot of tips. So what I think I'm just gonna do is refer you to, again, my Instagram stories. I've created a highlight bubble there that says tips, and I like to just throw them in there when I'm thinking about them or when I'm planning or when I just wanna share. So, or perhaps if other people share, I'll save them there as well. So, all right, I love these questions. Do you have time to exercise, Pilates, yoga, etc.? She said, I need to make time. Okay, that is definitely one that I've had to figure out and be very adapting with it because life is it just continues to change. I can't ever like keep a reliable schedule my entire life with raising kids and projects. But I do definitely try to throw in movement every single day. Since December, I've had a goal to do yoga every single day. It's a pretty new practice for me. I'm pretty beginner, but I'm really enjoying it. I just felt like that might be the thing that I really needed to focus on, maybe for my sanity, or I just felt like I could be more consistent with it since it doesn't require so much, especially since it's winter and it's hard to get out. One thing I have to say about making time for exercise or for movement or something that refreshes your body is you need to block the time for it and honor it. For me, I guess for the last 2 months, I have done it in the morning. I wake up and I work for an hour because that is something that I've learned is the only thing that gets me out of bed is work and deadlines. And then I have about an hour before my kids get up and need me. So that's when, well, I have an hour, but I usually only do about 20-30 minutes of yoga and then shower, get mostly ready, and then my kids need me. So it's really just about blocking out that time in your day. And in the Tidbits Day Planner, that's why I really wanted to add times for you to block that out so that you can look at your day, whether it changes day to day, week to week, you can figure out how that will fit into your day. It is very effective to time that out the night before, so you know before the day hits you in the face that there's gonna be a time for that. That's really just my best tip for that. I also feel like just exercise once a day isn't enough, especially doing yoga. My body needs more movement than that, or I'm going to pile on weight faster than I can take it off. But for me, just yoga isn't enough for me to maintain, let alone lose. So what I have been doing for the last 2 months, and it's working really well, I take 20 minutes in the afternoon and go for a really brisk walk. Even in the winter, it feels really good to just get out. That's something I do after lunch. My kids sometimes join me, sometimes they don't. So I'm trying to get that midday movement. So much of my work is sitting down, computer time, so I really need that. And also, if there are days that I know that walk won't fit in, something I try to do, and it might sound silly, but I have a cue. Every time I go to the bathroom, sorry, TMI, it's my cue to do like 10 jump squats or some sit-ups or mountain climbers, something that just gets my heart rate up briefly and quickly. Knee highs, it really helps to get that blood flowing so I don't get that brain fog from sitting or looking at screens too long on those days. So that's something else that I try to fit in with just a busy full day. But on that same note, someone asked me, I would love to hear, I would love to hear how you fit devotional time in your busy schedule and how long it is on average. This is a good topic. I have come to learn that there are two kinds of people in this world, and those are the people, well, when we're talking about habits and routines, and these are the people that are fill your cup first people or empty your cup first people. I have tried in my life to be a fill my cup first person, and the reality is, because I'm such a task-oriented person, I have had to accept that. I cannot get out of bed when I know I need to get out of bed knowing that I'm going to exercise, I'm going to read my scriptures, I'm going to fill my cup and then face my tasks. I've tried to be that person, but it does not work. I need to empty my cup before I can fill it. That is just how I work, and I have embraced it, and I feel like that's really working for me. So to get me out of bed, like I said, it is work. First thing, I need to empty that cup. I need to empty some of the tasks that are just going to weigh over me if the day just gets crazy and out of hand and I can't get to them. So for me, waking up, doing that is the first thing I do. I perhaps wish I could be that person that would do those nourishing things first thing in the morning, but it's just not enough to get me out of bed. So anyway, so to answer the question, I read my scriptures and do my devotions in the evening. We get the kids to bed at 9. Well, they don't go to sleep, but they like to sit in their beds and read or whatever. But that is when I am shutting it down. My phone gets put on sleep mode, and I spend some time in my scriptures. Right now I'm using Come Follow Me study guide that my church put out. And then I have by my bed my Tidbits journal, and I record any thoughts and inspiration in there and do any journaling that I feel like I need. So that is my devotions routine. And once again, it's just blocking the time for that and knowing that that is what I need to fill my cup after it's been emptied and wake up the next day and be motivated. How do you plan big projects? We have lots of big projects. We're still finishing our home. So like I showed you that spot in the day planner, I often break down, I hope you can't hear my kids yelling, but I often break down those big projects there on that page. I also have the Tidbits sketchbook. I'm not a sketcher, but for big projects, my husband loves to sketch them out. So if anything, I made this for him. I tell him the things I want in a space or whatever, a big project, and he sketches them out for us. I have the Tidbits notebook. If I need more note pages, I'll often just break those big projects down in there. All right, one more question. I feel like this is getting a little too long, but it's a good one. How to stay consistent. So I'm a firm believer that consistency is key. As an example, I feel it is better to do little bits of exercise every day versus a huge workout once a week. I think most people would agree with me. In relation to maybe business or achieving goals, consistency is also important. Here's my thoughts on this. Life is not always consistent. If 2020 hasn't taught us that, I don't know what will. So, life is so fluid, and while I try to focus on consistency, I also always pad consistency with a whole ton of grace and try to be adaptable. You know, my kids throw distractions and unexpected things at me all day, every day, and I just do the best I can, and that really is key. But I will say there is more to that question that someone has already talked about, and I will leave you actually the exact podcast that I'm thinking about. So I have a friend, Brooke, she's very much in the self-help world, but in a Christian perspective. And she does this podcast on floors and ceilings, and it will be life-changing for you. And I know that because I was in her mentoring group last year, and practicing this principle was huge for consistency and reaching some of my goals. So she kind of teaches, I'll just do a real quick little example so you know what you want to, if you want to go listen to it. But if you're talking about creating a habit or excelling in your work, the most important thing is just showing up every day and being consistent. But the problem is we need to set floors and ceilings. So our ceiling is like the ultimate goal. This is the highest achievement level that I can set for myself for that habit. And then you've got to have floors, because if you can just show up for the floor on those days where maybe you're not feeling as motivated or you run out of time, just by doing that floor, you will prove to yourself that you're consistent rather than just beating yourself up and quitting. So please go listen to that podcast. If that piques some curiosity, it will be quite transformative for you, as it was for me. But just as a quick example on that concept, so I have committed to doing yoga every single day for this year. My ceiling is 20 to 30 minutes with a streaming video, and really focusing that time on that. But my floor, if I don't get to that, my floor is just going to be 5 cat-cows before I hop into bed. And that way I will show up, I will be consistent every day, and I will see change over time. So anyway, great concept. Consistency is very important. So I hope that gave you some inspiration and direction there. Anyway, that was enough questions for this video. I hope it was helpful. And I will leave all the links I talked about and the products I talked about in the description below. Please feel free to ask me any more questions. I think this was a fun video to just kind of relax and chat with you about planning. I'm very, very passionate about it. I love to talk to people about how planning can improve your life. And so please ask me any questions that you might have, and maybe we'll do this again. So thanks for watching, and I will be back. Let's see, I might have more planning videos, and we're definitely hitting some big projects in our home. So hopefully I'll be back to share some of those soon with you. Thanks for watching.